Okay, now we've got an order to administer an IV antibiotic, and we're going to do that by IV piggyback. So here's some of the equipment that you would need, and it is actually a secondary tubing set. Let me go up and see what the label says here. ClearLink secondary medication set, and Lori's going to show you how to open it so that you look like you know what you're doing. There's always going to be a perforated side, so if you just grab onto the perforation, it rips very easily and you don't have to struggle with opening this package. And inside you'll see short secondary tubing as well as a hanger that's going to be used to drop down your primary. So in this case, we're going to hook that blue hanger onto the loop of the primary so that when we're all done here, the secondary will indeed be hanging higher than the primary. So we've dropped that down a bit. And then as with any tubing, she's going to discard some of the paper tabs that keep it rolled nicely, and then close that roller clamp before she spikes the bag. And again, here is, we've already gone through all the proper patient checks and chart checks and doctor checks and MAR checks. We're just focusing here on the actual skill. There's a little fake tab that she just threw away, and now she is going to spike that bag. And squeeze the drip chamber a couple times, and we're going to show you how to back prime this secondary tubing. Actually, you can go ahead and hang it. You can go ahead and hang it, yeah. So she's going to hang it up right in front of her so she can see what's going on. And then with the alcohol swab, we would, do we have alcohol swab?
I don't have one.
Okay, here's our pretend alcohol swab that we're going to get the connection port here, which again you see is above the pump. We're connecting the piggyback above the pump, and that is a push and twist motion. And then in order, now let's see what we've got here. We've got fluid in the drip chamber, but then we've got air in the major portion of this. So in order to get rid of all that air, we're going to use a back prime method, which is to drop it down by gravity. And let's see if I can focus in. You can see all the air bubbling up. That is air that was previously in that secondary tubing that's now coming up through the drip chamber. And where that fluid comes from is the primary bag. So by dropping the secondary lower than the primary, it allowed backflow in the secondary tubing. The reason that can happen is there is no check valve in the secondary tubing. So it does allow for backflow of fluid. So now we've got no air in the secondary tubing. Does that look good, Lori?
Mm-hmm. Yep, no air.
Okay, so now we're ready to go to programming the pump. So in this case, again, we're going to go to channel select. Let me zoom in on that. And we're going to go over to our computer, and I want to show you the menu at the bottom. Along the bottom, it'll say secondary, and that's what we want to do. We want to provide some secondary programming. Let's say this is Levaquin, Lori. Okay. So we're going to search the alphabet for L, and then Levaquin. You won't find it. You'll find it by levofloxacin. Let's see. It's the second one there. Mm-hmm. And in your book, you would have looked this up to see that that is actually Levaquin. And the dose that we're giving is 500 milligrams in 100 mLs. So you see you have some choices there. So we'll choose that. And then it gives you a couple of check screens so you can verify your information. 500 milligrams in 100 mLs, is that correct? Yes. Another check screen where you can once again verify that you're giving 500 milligrams in 100 mLs. And you go down to the bottom and it says press next to confirm. Now here you have a place where you could change some things if you liked. The VTBI has a box around it. The duration has a box around it. So this pump is programmed to deliver Actually, Lori, let's show them where the silent button is.
Oh, okay.
It is a very important button. Yes, it's the yellow button. So we'll silence that alarm so we can hear ourselves think. So our secondary is set to run at 100 mLs an hour to deliver a volume. Ooh.
Not done fast enough.
Okay, let's do it again. If we don't hit start within a certain amount of time, we lose our programming, but that's fine. We can get there again. So we'll do channel select. Channel select up under the A.
Yeah, here
There we go. And then secondary and our L. Levofloxacin and our dose.
And then
Our
divide-
confirmation screen will say next. And again, if we wanted to change the volume, we don't. It's 100 mLs that was provided. And the pump is programmed to deliver this in an hour. It happens that that's our hospital policy, and it also happens that that agrees with our drug reference book. So here it says verify secondary clamp is open. So let's go up and, whoops, I missed that. I didn't zoom out. Let's go up and open our secondary clamp. And then, okay. One more time.
Okay.
This is good though.
Okay. So we've got
Secondary.
Secondary. And we're doing,
L.
and then we're doing 500. Yes. Next.
We
Keeping
verified the secondary is open, and now we can hit start. We finally got there. The good news is that you can reprogram this continuously if you need to. If you run out of time, you shouldn't feel rushed. But we got there, and now we're going to go up and look at our drip chamber and make sure that our secondary drip chamber is dripping. If we go over to the primary drip chamber, we should find that to be quiet, and it is. Then we'll go down to the pump, and we see that our pump is reading that it's actually infusing our Levaquin at 100 mLs an hour, and it is delivering a dose of 500 milligrams according to how we programmed it. And then again, we would follow our tubing down to our patient and verify that our patient IV site was in order. Okay, so we saw here that the pump can be impatient, and if you don't act quickly enough, you lose your programming. But don't let that rush you, because you see how easy it is just to pick up and reprogram again. Let's do a little bit of troubleshooting here. So let's show what that occlusion alarm looks like again, Lori, if we close the...
This one?
Yeah, close the roller clamp below the pump, so that would be on the patient side. And we'll see how the pump behaves. You see now it's got a green light. Green is always good, means the pump is happy. Now it's turning yellow. And in a minute it should become unhappy. It's checking the line. And now it's got a red light here that's alarming, and it says occlusion patient side. So if you were to walk into a patient's room, the first thing you'd want to do is silence that alarm by pressing the yellow silence button. Let's get a zoom in on the silence button. There it is. And then you're going to go check the patient side. So start at the bottom of the pump and go down and see between the pump and the patient what could the problem be. In this case, we closed the roller clamp, so that is actually the obstruction. So go ahead and open that, and now once we've cleared the occlusion, we're going to have to hit restart, and it should take a minute to check the line and then start again. Another reason that your occlusion could be alarming is that your patient has an IV that is positional. So if their arm is if their IV's at their antecubital and they have a bent elbow while they're eating or whatever, that could cause the alarm to go off. You could get an alarm on the pump side. And let's see how we could maybe fabricate one of those. Let's provide it with an occlusion on the pump side. So let's hit the silence button and read what it's saying. Occluded fluid side empty container, it means it's not getting any fluid. Well, the truth is there is fluid up here for it to receive, but for whatever reason this tubing has become bent, and so it's not allowing the fluid to flow. So if you just troubleshoot your tubing and straighten it out, and hit your restart button, it should be happy again. Okay, now when our secondary is completely infused, the programming will change over to the previous primary programming, and then the fluid will start to be drawn from the primary bag. And that concludes setting up a secondary.